So I'm in the office this morning. I'm a little concerned because I was told I gotta cut back to like 50% capacity at the office. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut my legs off. What are you gonna? I don't know. It's confusing. Hello, Merry COVID Christmas Part 2. Did you think we'd be going through this a year after the first COVID Christmas? I didn't either. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 51. Yay, 51! Of Niagara 411 Live. We are fueled by Gales Gas Bars. We are powered by WeeStreem. We are supported by Performance Heating and Air, as well as Verge Insurance Group. We thank them as always for their support and staying on board with us through these very, very interesting times. Not to mention our home port here, our port in our weekly Thursday storm, Fiddler's Poorhouse. And we're going to find ourselves ensconced once again in their lovely window on this pretty nice December the 23rd. A couple of interesting guests coming up for you today. So come on in and we'll fill you in on what's going on, and you're going to have plenty of time to become involved with the program too, and we'll let you know. Now there's a thing going on right here. If you want to check this out, it's a really cool deal here at Fiddler's Poorhouse. If you buy a $100 gift card, see there, you buy a $100 gift card, of course costs you $100, you get another $50 gift card that you can use for the next 3 months or so. Buy a 50, get a 20. Cool. It's like free money and great food. So check that out. That's our little Fiddler's promo for today. Now we're going to fiddle around and get ourselves ready for the show. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Cheers. Hello, it's a Merry COVID Christmas. Ta-da! These are my little friends. Come see my no little friends. We don't have a lot of room here, but I wanted it to be a little bit festive. So this is my little Santa and his helper, and apparently his helper is looking for money. So Kevin, if you want to drop any cash in there,
okay,
throughout the show, feel free.
Yeah, so I say happy ho-ho to you. I see you've worn the festive red, and you got your doodads there, some Christmas knickknacks.
Yes. It's our
feeling very festive.
It's our Christmas show. Kevin Jack, ladies and gentlemen, one of the chief cooks and bottle washers at WeeStreem, of course, and we'll have a chance to talk about that business as things go forward. Because again, we are in a situation where, as Genesis said in the 1980s. We are in the land of confusion again, and it affects people like our friends at WeeStream, our friends at Fiddler's Poorhouse, anybody that runs a gym or a yoga studio or any of those things. It's the Groundhog Day syndrome. I'm sorry, it's like over and over again, and we all look like Bill Murray. We just can't get out of this treadmill. It's like the hamster in the wheel, you know. We just keep going and going and going and going, and we get nowhere. Anyway, while we're talking about that, the COVID protests that have been taking place, some of them in Niagara, some of them in Toronto. Of course, the first one we heard about was Ford not being able to get to his house because protesters were out in front of his house. And then Dr. Hergy, Niagara Region's acting medical officer of health. And this is a video, I should say, film. Boy, there's that. I'm aging myself when I say film.
Yeah, I know. I don't give a fuck either.
Well, there you go. There's the.
Yeah, we apologize for some of the language here. We didn't make it up.
So I didn't know it was coming right out of the gates there.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you're not allowed to start the party without me.
So this is a video. I'm not sure if it was streamed live or it was just recorded. This is the protest outside Dr. Hergey's house.
I don't know. And of course, our local constabulary there, not much they can do, really.
No, I don't think this is the constabulary. I think this is just
these are the protesters with sirens and stuff?
Yeah, they just got sirens and lights flashing and megaphones.
Wow.
Dr. Hergey, I would like to introduce you to the truth variant. We are sick and tired of listening to the bullshit variant. Enough is enough. Shame on you.
Now, what do you think, Lee? Too far?
Yeah. Call me
Dr. Hergey, it doesn't
Call me
matter
too
if we go
conservative
through
or
regional council.
small c
It doesn't
conservative.
matter if we go through your emails. It doesn't matter if we show up at regional headquarters. You ignore every single question we have for you. It's time to answer some fucking questions. You got some mad parents
Again,
out
sorry
here
about that.
who would like to hear from you.
It's what happened. So what you know.
That's cool. Have a good night.
Take it up with your neighbor.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, yeah.
Dr. Hergey, I heard you say the other day that there hasn't been one death from the vaccine. That's false.
If we could go out for dinner, we wouldn't be here.
All right.
Go to the movies, we wouldn't be here.
If we could go to the gym, we wouldn't be here.
I think that's a lie.
Of course it is. I don't think that guy's been to a gym in a while.
Now, what do you think about those points? You know, people saying that...
I'm not.
Hello.
I am not adverse in any way, shape, or form to protest.
Shame.
I am not.
Shame.
I'm not saying
For 2
that
years,
they
I've
don't
been taking
have
care of the homeless
points that need
community in
addressing.
Welland. There are people who are not able to go and get a jacket at the Hope Center because they're not vaccinated. What kind of world do we live in? Enough! You are not a dictator. You are a dick.
We got to give them points for that one. That was funny. It's cruel, but
So what do you think? Protesting outside somebody's home?
I don't believe in dealing in fear. I think fear is. I think and this is just me, but the 4 years that Donald Trump gave us in the White House have definitely accentuated the populist approach to social rhetoric and social unrest. The rats have been flushed from the sewer, and we have to get rid of them. And that's how I look at it. It is good to know that that kind of thing exists in our world, because in the pre-Trump era, the pre-populist era, the pre-extremist right-wing era, a lot of this was bubbling underground, and we could ignore it because we didn't really know it was there. We could use the ostrich syndrome and stick our heads in the sand and pretend everything was 1950s Camelot again, and we know that isn't the case. But all of this has been flushed out now. So, and I'm afraid that it has empowered extremists to behave incorrectly, and I think they should be fined. I think they should be arrested. Now, those people outside Hergey's place, they could have probably been charged or fined for being a public nuisance or a noise violation, a bylaw or something. Nothing criminal. They were on public property. But it's still, if there was a family, if Dr. Hergey's family was in that house, that would be frightening.
It would be.
And I don't think that's right. I don't think people should live in fear because they have an opinion and they have a job to do and they're doing it, although we don't necessarily agree with it, they have the job. And But to go to one point that man made, not terribly eloquently, but made it anyway, is the fact that there has been protest at the Niagara region. The way to the Niagara Medical Organization and Dr. Hergy is supposedly through Niagara Regional Council. That has not, to this point, fallen on ears that are working. So what are you going to?
I would agree.
So people are frustrated, and I understand that. I'm frustrated.
On that point, I want to remind everybody that this show is wide open.
Yes.
The Zoom link is right there in the post, and if you have an opinion on this, one way or the other, by all means, just click on that Zoom link and come on the show and tell us whether you think it's fair or if it's offside. My personal opinion is I don't think it's fair, but I sympathize with them.
Yeah.
Because their voice is not being heard. And we've also heard in the past, this is going back a year ago, that when Dr. Hergy made the very Niagara-specific dining restrictions, that it was not done in consultation with regional councillors. Mm-hmm. So what is protesting to regional councillors going to do if he seems to be operating rogue?
Yeah.
And we also heard the recent... the recent implementations of what's going on at the athletic facilities and change rooms was also made without consultation of regional partners.
Right.
So as much as you'd like people to protest outside of regional headquarters, it doesn't seem as though that's getting anywhere. Now, that said, a lot of the people that are protesting could probably be observed as extremists. I don't think that I need to listen to the protester outside regional councillor that's saying that that vaccines aren't working or it's not the answer or whatever.
Right.
But underneath there is a voice that probably needs to be a little louder when it comes to how we're handling the pandemic, the restrictions that are imposed on businesses. Like this individual said, you can't get a coat at the Hope Center if you're not double vaccinated. These things don't make sense.
And yet probably everybody there is double vaccinated. So if you're double vaccinated, what do you have to worry about? Okay, there are a lot of, as our eloquent friend on the video said, there are a lot of questions that people have because there is a lot of confusion. There is a lot of sort of, they went that away. And you do try to make sense of things. You do try to find some sort of thread of logical thinking when walking through, be it federal, provincial, or municipal, rules and regulations. But so many times we find ourselves going, huh? And that's the problem. We don't want to do, huh, anymore. We want to say, okay, we got it. We got it. You got it. We got vaccinations so we wouldn't get sick. We wear masks so we won't get sick. But you won't let us go out with our vaccinations and our masks for fear we get sick. That's another huh moment, isn't it? Isn't it another huh? And I repeat myself, I apologize. If you try to make sense of it all, you're just going to end up with a headache and not much to show for it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, now, Lee, we do have our first guest here in the green room, and I know we want to talk about the Carrie Porter stuff as well.
Yeah.
But maybe you can kind of tee up the show, we can get to our guest, and then touch on Carrie afterwards. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, because this is a theme that can run through the show, because we would appreciate you offering your opinion. I mean, you've heard ours, but and I may not agree with yours, but that's okay. As great people once said, I might not agree with you, but I will defend to the death your right to have an opinion. Okay, you may have heard of this, and this is flipping the coin right over to something super, super happy and super positive. It is the Joymaker truck. And if you haven't had a chance to see this or experience it, it's quite the Christmas initiative. Brad Saplywy, am I saying this right? Saplywy?
Yeah, I think so.
Saplywy.
Saplywy? Is that right,
Yep.
Brad?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to mess up your name. And you're with your son Braydon.
We're used to it.
I'm sure
Braydon,
you are.
yes.
And you're with your son Braydon.
Yes.
Hi, Braydon.
Hi.
How you doing, buddy? You okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We've got just a little bit of a delay and a bit of a choppy video thing going, but that's okay.
Yeah, we can see the lights there on the truck, though, and that's what this is all about, right?
Yeah.
The Joymaker truck.
So, Braydon, tell us.
Yes.
Tell us how your Joymaker truck thing got started. Can you tell us?
Well, my dad is originally from Thunder Bay, and his parents and all of his family lived up there. And we couldn't go up to see them because it was the start of a pandemic. And we were like, we're feeling this way, so other people have got to be feeling this way too. So then because my dad was scrolling through the internet, and he found this, and then I saw it, and then we decided to do it.
And how? And so I want to ask you about the truck in a bit here, Brad. But what is it you do? Now this is your second Christmas, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you and your dad do with the truck?
Well, we drive around, like, when we have to go to, like, our personal events, but most of the time we're at, like, Sobeys, and we're collecting donations for Pelham Cares.
For Pelham Cares. That's just terrific. Brad, what was your reaction when Braydon mentioned to you that he wanted to do something to make people happier? What did you think of your son at that point?
Well, as a dad, you're always proud of your son. He's got the biggest heart out of anybody you know. For an 11-year-old child to want to give back, especially at a time when there was a pandemic going on. He didn't think about himself; he thought about everybody else. So, pretty proud. He's very community minded, and he loves giving back. He's actually part of my act too. It's the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council here in Pelham as well. So, pretty proud of the little guy. He's going to be our next community leader, and hopefully maybe mayor or prime minister.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him at all. Now, this is year 2. How many lights have you got on that truck?
So last year we did 5,000 lights, and we wanted to go a little bit bigger. How many we got this year, Braydon?
8,000.
8,000 lights. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I just how do you put them on how do you affix them to the truck, and how do you power them and everything?
So it's all done by black gorilla tape. So last year when I started this, it was I think I had the truck for about 8 months, and so I didn't want to screw up the paint. But I did a lot of investigating with on YouTube and the internet to find out which tape wouldn't leave that residue like a duct tape does. So I actually went and found a lot of people were using the black gorilla tape, and then I took about 10 pieces, put it on the truck for about a week. It snowed, it rained, I drove on the highway, everything, and then I took them off, and I had nothing. So then this year we said, well, let's go a little bit bigger. So we went to 8,000 lights, which works out to 3,000 pieces of tape. We get 2 rolls, and then we cut them into about half-inch strips, and then affix them every 5 lights.
How long does it take you to do that?
Well, my dad started it about an hour before I got home from school.
Yeah.
And I helped probably from the time I got home from school, which was 3 until around 9. But they did it until like
2:30 in the morning. So it roughly took us 12 hours to do this year. It would have probably took about 10, but I had one of the strands break. So I had to take one off and redo it on the hood. So that's the hardest part, because you're trying to get up there and lean and put it on.
How Does this run off the battery of the truck? How do you light it up?
So the good thing about the Dodge Ram is they have two plug-ins, one in the front in the console and one in the back seat that can run up to 400 watts. Each light string that is on the truck, and there's 8 of them, only runs 22.8 watts. So I'm actually under 200 watts. I could probably go double the amount. And if it was up to Braydon, we'll be having 16,000 lights next year. But I don't know if I got enough truck to do it.
Probably get a trailer and put lights on that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just add another vehicle.
Yeah.
That is. What's the reaction of people when they see this thing or see you guys coming?
Honking, high beams, thumbs up, lots of smiles.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. We do most of the donation stuff because it's for Pelham Cares. It's done right here in Pelham area. But we do like to get out to the community. We're not all about just Pelham. We want to spread the kind of joy throughout Niagara. We do an annual trip down to Niagara Falls, down Clifton Hill, and it's quite magical. People stopping and yelling and hooting and high beams and go ahead, Braydon. What's that?
Yeah, well, you guys would fit in with Clifton Hill for sure.
It's like,
go ahead, Braydon.
Go ahead, Braydon.
yeah, so we actually, half the time when we were driving down, because we were lucky enough that my grandmother, my dad's mother, came down from Thunder Bay this year.
Yeah.
But we took her down to Niagara Falls, and everyone was like taking pictures, smiling, and we were waiting a while, and it was
the traffic's pretty tight down there as it is, and I think we slowed it down a lot more. So people that were running the festival lights down there asked us if we'd park our truck there throughout the Christmas season in Dufferin Islands there. So we thought it was quite funny.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. So, Braydon, you feel a little bit happier this Christmas than you did last Christmas?
yes. Now that my grandmother came down, and we've had a more successful
Campaign
with this.
Great.
It just makes me feel happier.
How long ago did your family move down from Thunder Bay?
I moved here approximately 15 years ago. We moved to Feulled. So we kind of, I lived in St. Catharines for about a year with my fiance at the time, and now my wife, and then we moved to Feulled.
Well, we're sure happy to have you here, Brad and Braydon. Braydon in particular, for an 11-year-old lad to step up and say, "Hey, how can we make people feel happier than they feel?" That's a big question for an 11-year-old to ask, and so we applaud you greatly. I think it's and I agree with your dad. I think you will be one of our community leaders and a positive one going forward. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Just we would like to thank a lot of the donors out there. We've had people from all over the Niagara region, even though it's just Pelham Cares, that we're donating to this year. People from other regions, even my friends up in Thunder Bay and Ajax and north of Toronto have stepped up and donated too. So we're almost at our goal. We got about $700 more to go. But we would like to thank everybody for stepping up already. I know it's hard and times are tough, especially with the pandemic and the Omicron virus stepping up again. But people have really done well.
Well, they're a little less tough, or at least a little bit more tolerable with people like you in our community. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you, sir, and have a great Christmas, Happy New Year, and stay safe. And you as well. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Kevin, once again, every week comes with one of those tingly moments where you go, yes, this is what it should be all about.
Absolutely. Brad, the father, was telling me in setting up the interview about it. And I don't know whether or not the story really came across. You were alluding to it about how Braydon approached him last year saying that everybody's sad this year. And remember where we were a year ago.
Exactly.
Everybody was very sad. The holidays weren't going to be the same as we've ever remembered.
Yep.
And he said there must be other people in the community that feel this way. What can we do for them? Mm-hmm. And that's an incredible thought process for an 11-year-old to go through
for a boy to make, or a young person of that age to make that leap. You know, it's one thing to acknowledge the fact that I feel kind of sad. And that's often where it would stop, because you're not quite sure necessarily why. But then to recognize that you're not the only one, and then to make the leap, as you said, to how can we help fix this, that's off the charts.
And I got to say, that's a Dodge Ram for the win there, eh?
Yeah.
Got a couple of outlets, so you can just plug it right in there, do a little bit of math, and say, hey, I'm not going to blow the car up by running these lights. And kudos to the internet as well, right? Like, hey, if I use the black Gorilla Tape, which, by the way, is a staple of every WeeStream event. But yes, the black Gorilla Tape is awesome, and it doesn't leave any residue on the truck.
I have a bone to pick with you on that, actually, because I asked you last week for some tape so I could decorate the office.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I did not give you the good Gorilla Tape.
You did not give me the good, and it was a windy day. It was one of our windy days, and I'm not going to accuse anybody of walking off with my Christmas decorations, so I'll have to blame the wind.
It's a windy day, but they were not there when the show was over?
They were not there when the show was over, so next time, let's gorilla the thing, all right?
No, that's a good point. Love the Gorilla Tape. Just a reminder, Lee, that the show
I notice you're not apologizing.
No, the show is wide open. So if anybody wants to come on and even just share some well wishes, or if there's something you want to talk about, the Hergy protests, I know in the news, getting a lot of comments. We are going to touch on, we got the video from the falling of the masts out at the pirate ship in Jordan
the Grand
Harbor.
Hermione. Yeah.
I mean, that's a landmark that is
I was sad to see that. I do want to take a moment here, once again, to wish a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a safe 2022 to all of our sponsors, Gales Gas Bars, who have been fueling this program like they've been fueling Niagara for the past 50 years, and continue to support us, and for that we thank you. Gales.ca is the website to go to, find out about their points program and all the great things that they do here. And something that Jessica Friesen did, she became, in 2021, she became a self-published author. And self-publishing is kind of a misnomer, actually. And we're going to be talking with a couple of fellows later on in the program that are authors. You've met one of them before. Sean Bell is his name. He wrote a book called The Grandfather Chronicles. He's going to be joined by P.L. Stuart, a gentleman out of Chatham, and we're going to talk about just that subject, authors and self-publishing, because that seems to be the great big publishing houses like the Simon & Schusters and the Penguins and all of these have the whole model of publishing books has changed drastically over the number of years, but self-publishing is really it's kind of misdirecting what actually happens. So we're going to talk to those guys about that at about 1 o'clock today. So thank you to Gales. And if you want to pick up a copy of Jessica's book, you can do that wherever you find books online. And it's called This Will Not Break Me. It is about her battle with postpartum depression when she was a very new mom, about 14, 15 years ago. Have we got an audio glitch?
That's just us.
Is that just us? Yeah. Oh, all right. Now, also to Performance Heating and Air, Carlo and all of your workers and their families and your family as well. We hope you have an uninterrupted Christmas season, because we know things like furnaces and appliances tend to pick the worst times to stop working or break down for some reason, and then there are always people that have to come out and look after that stuff. So we wish you a problem-free holiday at Performance Heating and Air. And to Mark Shirk, Blake, and all of your gang, again, also, we thank you for supporting us in this endeavor. Thank you, Verge Insurance Group. And Kevin, of course, WeeStreem, we talked about this earlier, so we're going to take a minute before I want to talk about the Carrie Porter story, because that was pretty damn disturbing as well, because it sort of dovetails with our comment about the protest outside Dr. Hergey's home. And again, make no mistake, I am no personal friend of Dr. Hergey's. As a matter of fact, over this whole thing, I started to refer to him as Premier Hergey, because I thought we had, I thought Niagara was its own little burg outside everything else that was going on in Ontario at the time. And it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek way of saying, hey, what's going on here? So it's just the methodology of some of these extreme style protesters that I just have a problem with your style. And the same thing with what happened to St. Catharines City Council Carrie Porter. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we wanted to... where was I going with this, Kevin?
Well, you want to touch on WeeStreem and what a successful year it's been for us, and as we as we're staring, I don't want to say lockdown, shutdown, whatever it's going to be.
That was right.
But as you're looking down the road into 2022, and if you have any events and you need to incorporate a virtual aspect to it, get in touch with us at WeeStreem. It's absolutely what we do. It's proven. Around Niagara, for example, we are delivering hybrid live streams. So that is both where people are in person and they're also joining the same meeting remotely. We do that for St. Catharines City Council, Niagara Falls City Council, West Lincoln City Council, Port Colborne, Waynfleet. So all of these municipalities in Niagara trust WeeStream to provide the technology needed so that you can have people both on-site and off-site participating as equal participants in the same meeting. And we bring the tech, we do that, we can stream it, we can add some layers of production to it as well. So if you're faced with any of that, by all means, give us a call. It's absolutely free, and we can talk about your options and what's available to you.
Yeah, and the reason I was leading up to this, isn't that funny, you know? I knew exactly where I was going, and it reminded me of a meme I saw on Facebook. For those of us that have taken a few trips around the sun, it's like I can remember what happened in 1969, but I can't remember why I came into the kitchen. You know, those things happen. But what I wanted to do was, again, send out not really condolences, but just heartfelt hope wishes for people that are in a business like WeeStream that involves being around other people. Now, there was a positive side to the WeeStream business because of COVID, because people couldn't get together. So the smart people did reach out to Kevin and Brandon's company and say, okay, can you guys make this as live as you possibly can? And of course they did, and they can, and they do. But a large portion of their business also went sideways, i.e. sporting events and those kinds of things where people had to gather before there was even going to be a show. And that was a problem. And just when things start to get back, now we've got all the question marks swirling around our heads again. And I mean, Kevin, God, it's nerve-wracking enough for people that have work-a-day salary jobs. For entrepreneurs that work in the people business, it's got to be like almost debilitating psychologically.
Well, thank you for finding the nerve and going right at it, Lee.
But it
absolutely is. I mean,
it is the nerve, though.
I'll try and summarize it in 30 seconds. What I'm thinking. I'm a business owner, a small business owner that was hurt financially, that was hurt mentally. I've never dealt with mental health issues prior to the pandemic. There were probably about 3 or 4 months where I just was not stable. I'll admit that. I'm sitting now looking at a scenario where I might go right back into that place.
Yeah.
The schools likely aren't going back. Why haven't they made a decision yet? Why are they not telling us now? Why are they going to wait to the 11th hour? At the end of the day, Lee, 6 weeks ago, I looked at my wife and said, okay, that's the first time we heard of Omicron, and said it's happening somewhere in South Africa. And I looked at her and said, if in 6 weeks' time we're right back where we were a year ago, the government doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They have no clue.
And I think that's pretty
And they've
clear.
learned nothing.
It's pretty clear.
And the thing that sucks, to draw it full circle, is that all the people that are making decisions, all the people that are telling you, all the politicians in Niagara, all the health workers in Niagara, sorry, not all the health workers, talking about management, all the people that are making decisions are not affected. Again, they do not lose a dime. Their salaries are protected. If anything, in some cases, their jobs become easier because now they get to work remotely from home. They're working in pajamas. They've cut down on their commute time.
On one issue.
On one issue that the government has not learned anything about. If they had learned from where we were in March of 2020, we would not be where we are in March of 2021.
And Kevin,
I've done everything. I've done all that you've asked me to do. And you're telling me that once again,
I got to do it again.
I already got an email yesterday. Our company is losing $3,000 in January. That's the reality. And I'm just waiting for another email where we're going to lose another $3,000. So people say, how is this affecting you? I'm going to lose $6,000 in January alone.
In a month.
I'm going to lose. Do you get that? I'm going to lose $6,000 because they don't know how to control a pandemic. I'm not saying it's easy, but they've done nothing. They literally have not learned.
We haven't.
So
That's
you touched
key.
the nerve. I was trying not to go here today because
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm
You
so
got it.
frustrated.
And well, you know, these things are best when they're shared. And you're sharing this with a lot of people. And I didn't really mean to open a wound, but I kind of did, because you are a perfect spokesperson for people that work the way you do, that earn a living, that feed their families, that support their lives and their communities the way you do. Yes, I'm sorry, but you're a perfect poster boy for this.
I'm affected by it all.
For this situation.
My children are 6
Your
and 8
children
years old.
are young elementary age school children, and the kind of business you're in. So, and again, it's really not. I didn't want to do this to make it just about you, but I wanted to make it about you as it's about so many other people. I mean,
I get it.
it's a big group of people.
I got no problem, and our group of
suffer
people
with
deserve a
that.
voice
So-
because there are so many people.
I didn't want to put you on the spot.
So many people on social media whose income is not affected, sharing their opinions and telling us what we should do.
Yeah.
Listen to the people who actually have skin in the game that are going to be losing money. Talk to those people and see how we feel about shutdowns and lockdowns. See how we feel about complying for the last year and a half, doing everything you've asked us to do. And here we sit. Our Christmas is about to be ruined. My business is going to be ruined in January. Thank you very much. I've done everything you've asked me to do. And here's where I am. And you're looking at me in the eye and going, please, can you just do this next thing?
Oh,
Can you
yeah,
just
if we
do
all
this
fight
next thing?"
together, if we all hang together, and we'll get through this thing. Well, the threads of logic fail me, because 80%, I heard the stat today, 80% of Canadians have been double vaccinated. And there are many, many, many more that are going to get the so-called booster. It's just another shot. Get the third shot. I'm lined up to get mine, I think, January the 12th, something like that.
And that's another thing that you can't get them. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I know the system online once again is jamming up and breaking down. But where I was going with this is the fact that, okay, so they say wear masks and social distance. Cool, got it. Fine. We'll be okay if we do that. Then, while you're doing that, we're developing these vaccines, and if you get 2 of them, then you're protected up to, depending on the one that you get, you're protected up to like 79, 80 percentile, right? As far as your opportunity to get it, maybe 20%, maybe a 1 in 5 chance that you're going to get it. Okay, so now we got 80% of the country that is double vaccinated. A lot of them triple vaccinated. By spring, most will be triple vaccinated, and now, and that's supposed to protect us. And if it's protecting us, then why can't we go into these places? I can understand when we didn't have anything, but see. This is the disconnect, Kevin. And when the protocols came out last week, it was again gyms, restaurants to 50% capacity, and the other things. But funerals, weddings, and church services, any worship areas were not included. Well, what the hell sense does that make? You still got groups of people together, and but a hockey game where people sit on a bench and put their skates and pads and crap on to go out onto the ice to play a hockey game, you can't do that. But you can go sit in a pew in a church beside somebody.
Now, I can still play hockey. I can go out there and play hockey. I just can't spend more than 15 minutes in the change room because, of course, at minute 16, COVID starts to spread. Now listen,
exactly.
And people are expressing their feelings and their anger in a number of different ways. We've already we've already shared the video of the protest outside Dr. Hergey's office, and the attack on Councillor Carrie Porter in St. Catharines.
I don't even know why.
Even seems more misguided.
And again, someone wakes up in the morning, and we know people are frustrated, and we know people are angry. Obviously, Kevin and I are as well. Kevin having more of a reason to be than me. But here's what Councillor Carrie Porter woke up to on the side of her house. Scary Carrie is a Karen. Now, I had to ask Kevin what a Karen is. I guess it's something in pop culture that just happened over the last while that Karen is now a bad thing to be, whatever. But, okay. So that was one thing. F you Marxist bitch. I don't know. I don't know why. I have no idea whether Carrie Porter has Marxist leanings or not, and I don't care if she does. But it's on her house. Now that's non-compliant. United. In case you're not sure what that says excuse me, United Non-Compliance. Okay. Now this is wrong. Yes, people are angry. People are upset, but I don't know why they're angry at Carrie Porter. I mean, in my experience, now I have to hand it to Ms. Porter in the fact that she did handle this in a very tongue-in-cheek, calm way, and I'm sure she didn't feel calm. But to the goons who targeted my house last night, thank you for spelling my name correctly. Marxist and bitch? Well, there are some grains of truth there. Karen is my mom's name, but she is a good Karen who taught me how to stand up for myself. Scary Carrie, haven't heard that one since grade 6. Very sophisticated humor. Nice use of sarcasm there, Ms. Porter. She says this is a pathetic display of cowardice and weakness. You get 0 for 10 for this work. Good for you, Carrie. Good for you for responding in that way. But I'm sure, as anybody would be, that you would be shaken by seeing this. And a little bit fearful. I would have been for my family had I woken up this morning and found something like that spray painted on my house.
Now, may I say, Lee, that our company, and I guess specifically me, I'm in City Council chambers.
Often.
Streaming St. Catharines City Council. I know Councillor Porter, but not much more than to say hi. I don't think any of those phrases apply to Councillor Porter. It seems she's a very caring woman. She does what she believes is right from her standpoint and for the people that
Whether
that
you agree with
elected
her or not, whether she's effective or not, we don't. I mean, that's not for us to judge.
She's very diplomatic and polite in her approach, as opposed to these graffiti artists. I don't know who could have concluded that Carrie Porter is any of these things based on anything that she may have done.
Yeah,
and that's. I'm not saying this because City of St. Catharines, pays WeeStream. I'm telling you, that's what I see.
In my experience, I do not remember any issue that Councillor Porter has been involved in that is in any way controversial. I don't recall one. So maybe there's something behind the scenes. Maybe there's someone in her ward that is extremely unhappy with her position on something. I have no idea.
No idea. She has not been the one that's been leading the charge for COVID. Like
she hasn't been the center of anything.
United non-compliance. Like,
no.
Okay, maybe these are anti-vaxxers that are targeting her. But why her? Now she did respond through social media in her own words. I think we should hear some.
Yeah,
of this.
let's hear what she had to say.
Hi everyone. I wanted to come on and thank all of the people who express their support and solidarity and love for my family after we woke up to graffiti on my house that was politically motivated. It was targeted. It was meant to intimidate, and it came from the politics of fear and division and extremism and conspiracy theories. And all of your messages of support have meant so much. They meant a lot to me and my husband, and they've helped my children be able to understand that we live in a really wonderful community, and this action doesn't define this community. It doesn't define my work as a city councillor. I know too many good people who do too many wonderful things in this community to allow this to intimidate or define the work. And I also believe that your messages of solidarity are not just about me. Other people read them. People initially saw what happened and got upset about it. And the messages of support meant a lot to members of the community as well. And there are people who are considering running for office, and if they see something like this, they might think twice about it. But your messages of support, your denunciation of this type of behavior is incredibly important. This is fascism. It's not new, and it needs to be countered, and you're countering it. And I'm really, really proud of this community. It's an honor and privilege to represent St. Catharines, and I want to thank you, and we won't let them win.
I wish we knew who them were or who they were. Obviously, Councillor Porter has an idea or is aware of the forces that are opposing her in some way, shape, or form. I mean, there's something behind it, and we're unaware of it, and that's okay. I don't mind being unaware of it, except for the fact that maybe if we were aware of what is behind it, we could help fix it. And Kevin, this goes back to something I said earlier. These are times that I truly believe that, and I truly believe that the management and leadership style of former president of the United States, Donald Trump, has brought to the forefront. He's opened the Pandora's box of right-wing extremism. It was announced today that there are, I believe it's 16, I could be wrong about the precise number, but it's somewhere in the teens, it's somewhere around 16, police officers in Washington, D.C. have launched a lawsuit against, personally, former President Donald Trump because They do believe that he worked with those groups to incite the riot that happened on January 6th of this year when the Capitol in D.C. was stormed. So he's being sued by this citizens, a civil action group. And I do honestly believe that it was the spark that lit the flame of populism around the world. And I'm not putting too much of a fine point on it, because if you track the historical events over the past 4 years, since the election in 2016, this has become vogue. These right-wing extremist activities and actions. And I believe that to be true. I believe that we have opened we've opened the sewer pipe, and the rats are coming out. Now we got to get rid of them somehow.
Yep. I mean, even if we don't believe that, Lee, look at what's happening around us, and you can't draw any other conclusion, right? I mean, we've got people protesting outside Dr. Hergey's house. We've got Councillor Kerry Porter's house being spray painted after earlier this year Mayor Walter Sendzik had his house spray painted. It's
Ford,
never seen anything
Ford,
like it.
Premier Ford couldn't get into his house in Toronto the other day because people were blocking the way. I mean, these things aren't right. They're certainly not what we think of as Canadian. Oh, but then again, we've got Tim Biebs. So, how can...
Which, by the way, are really not that good, and all they are Timbits they already had on the shelf with the new coating around them.
And then there was the other article about that company that they have upgraded. One of them is the Bavarian cream. Remember the Tim Hortons Bavarian cream donut?
Oh, the Boston cream.
Or Boston cream. Yeah, the
love a Boston cream.
Yeah, but you know what they've done now?
It's a premium donut.
It's a premium donut. It's not just a donut. It's not just a donut anymore, kids. It's a premium donut. And you know what happens when you buy a premium donut, Kevin?
You get charged more.
Yeah, pay more for it.
Yep, I know that Boston cream. I'll tell you this though, Lee, and I'm about to blow your mind as a fan of the Boston cream donuts.
All right.
Where is the Boston cream Timbit? Boom.
Well, no, you can't have it. A Timbit is a donut hole.
I know.
Tim Hortons figured out how to make money from donut holes.
But they make them separately.
They sell holes.
I know, but they make them separately.
No,
Why
but
can't they make a Boston cream? They can make jelly-filled and jam-filled. Make me a Boston cream filled.
No, it would destroy the myth of the Timbit.
No.
It's a donut hole.
Well, then what are the other ones? The sugar donuts that have the jam inside.
It's like selling space. They sell space. Talk about a great business plan. It's a donut hole.
So anyway, Lee, let's go to the end of an era. I don't think we're ever going to see eye to eye on the Timbits thing. The Grand Hermione is coming down. Is that it, the Hermione or Hermione?
I think it's Hermione.
And here she is coming down.
Yeah. That was one of the most viewed videos on Niagara 411 and social media this week. Hundreds of thousands of people watched that over and over and over again. And I guess it was a safety issue, eh, Kevin?
Yeah, it was a safety issue, and then also, sorry, I realized I got the weather in front of your face. Compounded by the fact that nobody really knows who owns it.
Yeah.
So when, I guess, the Department of Oceans and Fisheries or what have you are looking at it and saying, okay, where is this ship going in the years ahead? Well, it's only going to further break down and leach into the water. Okay.
Yeah, but what is there to leach? I mean, it's just, there's no fuel or anything. It's just steel.
Metal, yeah, I know, but the steel's going to break away and end up in the water. That's where it's going. I know, but... And considering that nobody owns it, and then it might be a safety risk or a liability as well, right? You always throw in that term. The lawyers get involved, and is this thing a liability?
I would have rather seen a film of that car going over the falls last week. Yeah, I mean, look how long that scow was in the rapids in the upper river there, in the upper rapids. Nobody worried about that leaching into the water.
No, here, I'll take and somebody else took some photos that Niagara 411 shared as well.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Chris Delat photography.
Oh, there were some great pictures. There's some awesome pictures as well that were posted because of the solstice that took place this week. The winter solstice. Yes, officially, welcome to winter, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't look like you're going to have a white Christmas, but yeah, look at that. That's and I know it's an old rusted out hulk of a thing, but it's so majestic looking. It's sort of been the hallmark of Jordan Harbor for years. I hate to see things like that.
It really has.
Like, that's a beautiful, look at this. That's a beautiful picture right there. Who wouldn't want that actually on their wall? That would be a good thing for an artist to reproduce in watercolors or something. Great shots.
This is a Chris Delat photography.
Yeah.
There's an aerial one. Remember we interviewed that guy the January of this year that took his inflatable dinghy over there and walked around it?
I remember him, yeah. He was from Toronto, and he does all these sort of day trip adventures, and he waited for ages to get buy an inflatable boat from Canadian Tire, went out there, blew it up, and then took a trip out to the boat and did a video of his walkabout.
I mean, for a lot of people, I mean, I know they have that stop in Grimsby that they like to call the Gateway, but to be honest, from people from the GTA, when they see the pirate ship, that's their entry into Niagara.
Yeah.
A lot of people know. I knew before I ever lived in Niagara that, all right, there's that pirate ship, and when I get to the pirate ship, we're getting close.
Well, that's how I always feel about it, and I grew up here. I always thought when you cross that little sort of bridge area of Jordan Harbor, I felt like I was home. I'm now home. Even if I lived in Fort Erie or Niagara Falls or whatever, when I got to that point, as far as being a Niagara resident, that was the spot that I could kind of take a sigh of relief and say, all right, a couple more minutes, I'm home, you know? And that's how it sort of makes us feel when we pass that spot. We have Sean Bell, local author of a publication called The Grandfather Chronicles, self-published author. Joining him is a fellow who he refers to as his mentor, P.L. Stuart. P.L. Stuart is in Chatham, but they'll be both on the program today. We're going to talk about that concept of self-publishing because it's a bit of a misnomer, but they're going to tell us how that happens. So if you've ever thought about, gee, I'd like to write a book, but I don't know how to go about this. I don't know what to do. And that stalls a lot of people in things they want to do. Now, here's a shot. I don't know how this happened. Road closure, St. Catharines, Bunting Road. Now, we know why the road would have been closed. But, okay, so we got a city bus, okay? Might soon be called a regional bus with all these votes that are going on. But right now, it's a St. Catharines city bus. It's pretty obvious the bus is stopped at a bus stop where people embark or disembark from the bus. Now, which means it's on the right side of the road. See, there's the bus stop, there's the bus, very close to the bus stop, parked that thing, and there's a car that obviously either the bus smashed into the car or the car smashed into the bus. Either way, there's a pretty serious collision on Bunting Road at that spot. What the hell is the car doing on that side of the road? I don't get it. And nowhere in the comments or in the explanation did anybody say, here's what happened, because there shouldn't have been a head-on collision on that side of the road.
No, so that's right in front. You can see the reflection in the glass, but that's the TSC, which is now PV Mart or whatever.
Yeah, PC Mart. But
apparently PV Mart, I guess, is a brand that's associated with them out west.
They bought the T.
I always liked the TSC brand.
I know.
I thought that was a well-established brand, and they went to PV Mart. But
yeah, I know. I don't even know how they survive with Home Depot and all those places around. But that's another issue altogether.
No, they got a lot of a farm supply. That's what it is. Tractor Supply Company.
Yeah,
right?
I guess so. I guess so.
They got other stuff.
More specialized.
Yeah.
But this I don't understand. Why did that car hit that, or why did that bus hit that car on that side of the road, both of them facing in the same direction? All right. We're going to, pardon the pun here, shift gears. Joining us on the program, Sean Bell, local author, wrote the Grandfather Chronicles. We talked about Sean before in the program. And the other gentleman joining him on the extreme right of your screen is P.L. Stuart, joining us from, I believe, Chatham today. Mr. Stuart, have we got you loud and clear?
I hope so. Good day, and thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Hello, Sean. Nice to see you again, my friend.
Good.
Hey, PL. It's such an honor to be on the show with you, my friend. This is extra special.
So, first of all, Sean, we've talked to you before, so let me ask you this question: what is the relationship? Why are you here with JL today, or PL?
Hi, Lee. Wonderful
Hi.
to be back. So nice to see you, and
Good to have
happy
you.
holidays too. And just to say, the comment on your question about the bus out there, just be careful out there today. I was out shopping this morning, and it's madness out there. So people are doing some questionable things. So I know it's tough to have patience this time of year, but I know this morning I had to have it. But very much looking forward to this. So PL is now a mentor and a very good friend of mine.
Okay.
The relationship started with PL and I, Lee, because we both self-published with the same publishing company, Friesen Press. So we both came up through Friesen Press, the self-publishing experience, as I mentioned a little bit on the show before, and I'm sure we'll get into today. And I was put in touch with PL because he's such an outgoing guy, very busy guy. He leads a very busy life. I'm sure he'll share a bit of that with you. But he always has time to help people who want to do well in the industry. He's very just an easy guy to connect with. And I connected with him right off the bat. And the experience he shared with me on social media and how he came up through Friesen Press and what he did really helped inspire me at a time where I was like, wow, this is a lot of work. But he made time for me, Lee, and he became a mentor to me because he offered so much insight and so much help to someone like myself who really was kind of learning the ropes. And he was able to share that with me. And we became friends, and we've been doing Zoom calls almost every week, and we're always in touch with each other, offering insight to one another, and now he's a great friend of mine.
Well, let's slide over to you, PL. You are obviously an author as well. How many titles have you got under your belt at this time?
I only have one, sir.
One? Okay. So you and Sean are kindred spirits in a way. Earlier in the show, I talked about the fact that people like yourself and Sean are referred to as self-published, which is kind of a misnomer because there are a lot of people behind the scenes. What inspired you, or what made you want to write your first book? How did you get into this?
Well, the idea, Lee, had been percolating for quite some time. Once again, thanks for having me on the show. And for me, in terms of the self-publishing aspect, it was simply impatience. As you can see by the gray, I'm a bit older. So the nominal time to publish through the traditional routes, in terms of querying to get an agent, and then having that agent shop your book to a traditional publisher and obtaining a book deal, those timelines are quite expanded compared to when the self-publishing route. Therefore, I opted for that as opposed to the traditional publishing. So got my book out a lot quicker.
And we just showed a picture of your book quickly online. Tell us about your book.
My book is what I would consider a high epic fantasy. It's called The Drowned Kingdom. It is the first book in a proposed 7-book series, and it is about a flawed, somewhat controversial and bigoted prince who is leading the last remnants of his race from an advanced civilization. That civilization based on my version of the tale of Atlantis, and he leads his people across the sea to this new continent where he must forge alliances and face a lot of doubts and challenges to his beliefs as he tries to establish himself in this new realm.
So this is fiction fantasy work. I love that genre. It gives one pause to just think about things that are outside your realm of experience, and I love people that write the stuff that you do. Now, how did you reach out to and support and work with Sean when he was getting going?
Well, as Sean mentioned, we were both with the same self-publishing assist company, Friesen Press. And Sean is very flattering. I think our relationship is much less me mentoring him, but us mentoring each other. It's very much a very symbiotic relationship, and we feed off each other. He's just a fantastic guy and one of the best people and writers that I've met in my journey in writing. My rather short journey, but still. And we. Normally what happens is that through the publication specialists, they tend to connect authors that write in the same genre, and for whatever reasons, some of our publication people, our mutual publication people, thought it would be a good idea for us to hook up. I'm thankful that they did, and because I've made a fantastic connection, a great friend. So that's how we originally got together.
Now, over to you, Sean, for
yes, sir.
A second. When you had the concept of wanting to write a book, and you obviously had the motivation, you had the story, you had the concept and the content. It was all there. All you had to do was then organize it in an entertaining and logical way. That's one thing. It's one thing whether it's a typewriter or a computer or writing it by hand or whatever. You can write the story, but how did you find out how to do the so-called self-publishing route? You both worked with Friesen Press. Where do they come into the mix? At what point?
It's a great question, Lee. A wonderful question, actually. I think PL will agree with this. PL and I, the one thing we share with respect to being self-published authors is we love telling stories. I think the fantasy genre allows you to be so creative in your storytelling, being able to tap into stories that might already be told. For example, PL's story was is a different take on the lost continent of Atlantis, and I love that. I love it. But his storytelling is so unique in that it captures the characters and their journey through that time, and I love that. And with respect to mine, with the Arthurian legend of Excalibur, fantasy allows you to really expand and tell your story in as many different ways as you want, and that's why I love it, because I'm a storyteller and I love telling stories. With respect to how I found out about Friesen Press, very similar to what PL was saying. I have so many great stories that I want to tell, but it's very difficult to get recognized, Lee. Try and find an agent. Try and find someone who wants to take a chance on authors that are green, people that don't have a lot behind them. So I did some in-depth research myself and a few family members and friends as well, looked into different publishing routes, and Friesen Press came up as a reputable self-publishing company because they'll take your craft and make it professional, make it comparable to what's out there in the industry.
How do they do that? Let me interrupt you.
Sure.
When you say they make it professional, how do they do that? Is it just editing? Is it suggested rewrites? Like, how do they actually get into the nuts and bolts of it?
I think, Lee, it comes down to they've partnered with some very good editors, some very good marketing specialists, and David Childen, who's a world-renowned author who writes about marketing, is like, he has submitted over hundreds and hundreds of hours of modules that every self-published author has access to on the Friesen Press website. Okay. If you opt into that specific bundle, right? I think we talked about last time on the show, Friesen Press offers different, what they call journeys or bundles. Do you want to buy marketing? Do you want to buy editing? And if you opt into the marketing aspect, which I did, and I know PL did, you have the opportunity to read these fantastic modules by David Childen. So Friesen Press has made professional relationships in the industry, and they use those professional relationships to help turn self-published authors like myself and PL, our works into reality, and using professionals who know what's accepted in the industry.
Okay, PL, when you came across Friesen Press, first of all, how did you find them? I mean, you're not, you said you've written the one book, so I mean, you're not a seasoned, long-term veteran at this thing. It was a new deal for you too. How did you come across them, and what of their services did you use? How did they help you?
I actually came across them, Lee, because a friend of mine and a colleague from work was actually going through the same process with them. So
Okay.
he essentially referred me to them. And again, I did my homework, even with his reference prior to signing up. And as Sean said, finding them to be essentially the Cadillac, if you will, of self-publishing assist companies in Canada. I want to stay Canadian. I want to support Canadian businesses as well. So that combined with the reputation sold me. With Friesen, as Sean had highlighted, and I also want to mention that I think one of their biggest advantages is that they're one-stop shop. So Sean talked about the different paths or publishing avenues you can take within Friesen. So you can pare down your package to basic editing, basic print, basic layout, design, and a cover with, say, one symbol, for example, in their least expensive package. Or you can get the highest end package, which includes hours of marketing and advice on marketing, as Sean said, additional cover images, so you can really make your cover very fancy, because in the fantasy realm, covers are a big deal, for example.
Right.
So you can get all these add-ons, and that was really attractive with Friesen because, again, depending on your budget and your price point, you can have all these additional resources brought to bear to make your book that much more attractive and potentially lucrative once it gets published.
You brought up an interesting point when you said budget and price point. I'm assuming this sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, this sounds to me a little bit like an a la carte menu when it comes to the services. You can pick and choose the support systems that you require, and every time you pick one, it comes attached to a dollar figure. Right?
Yeah, that was very astute of you, Lee. Yeah, that's a great analogy. It is very a la carte, and you can tailor, because for some people, the thing with Friesen that I want to highlight is, for some people, they just want to publish, for example, a memoir. And it's basically just a lifelong dream. They're not looking to make money off of the publications of memoir.
Right.
They want to leave something for future generations to look at. Oh, grandmother, granddad published a memoir. Here it is, sitting on the shelf. For other authors like myself and Sean, of course, we're looking to accomplish a lifelong dream, but we're also looking to sell books and make money off of selling those books. And also, there's a certain return on investment, obviously, attached with spending thousands of dollars on a publishing package with a self-assist company.
I'm going to ask you, then I'm going to ask Sean. If you don't mind sharing this, because these are questions that people have, and so I'm asking them. You can refuse to answer anything you want. So you wrote a book, it's published. How much did it cost you?
Okay, so my particular package, which Friesen essentially has 4 packages, just let me outline for their authors, and Sean and I both chose the higher end packages, I believe, if that's okay with Sean. Let me speak on behalf of Sean for a second. And those packages, the higher end package, are in the $10,000 ish plus range, depending on, you can get different add-ons, but normally it comes in around $10K.
Wow.
To publish.
That's
So
not
it's a substantial investment.
I mean, that's not for the faint of heart. You got to be committed to something to spend 10 grand on it.
Yeah, I'm very blessed. My wife, who is my business partner, we decided to go all in. We incorporated as a business. We got a tax accountant. We decided that this is going to be, something that we're going to go full throttle on. And thankfully, she's wonderful. She agreed to. Her background is marketing.
Okay.
So we decided to partner. She do the marketing aspect. I do the writing, and we combine on that to hopefully become a force in the industry. That was our aspiration. But in any case, it's not for the faint of heart. But you can, the lower end packages, while still expensive, you can get something in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. And again, it's a la carte. So say, for example, you want less of the marketing aspect. Well, you can pair that off and trim your costs. So it just depends.
Understood.
The other reason I went with that package is because with that package, you figure, okay, with all this extra marketing with my first book, I'm not going to need that much money spent on that, because hopefully I will have learned a thing or two after that. So my successive books,
it'll be a springboard to the next one.
Yeah, Lee, I just want to hop in here, and hi,
Yeah.
PL, nice to meet you, and Sean, good to see you again. I heard that number, $10,000, and I thought, wow, that's incredibly affordable. I know it's $10,000, but if you consider before self-publishing was an option, it would cost you more than that just to be rejected 10 times. And here you have...
Yeah. It's a great point, Kevin, and nice to hear from you, my friend. Just to quickly opt in there, very much like PL, I looked at the opportunity as kind of starting up a small business. And because PL's planning to write more books, and I myself at least am planning to write a trilogy. So we're looking. I think PL and I would both agree on this, and I'm speaking for PL just for a second here. That we probably both looked at it as a business startup, as starting a small business, because our intent is to move forward with it. And as Kev mentioned, $10,000 for a startup business, yes, it is a sum of money, but for a startup business, I mean, for people starting their own business, they're going to spend $20,000, $30,000 to start up a business. So we're looking at the aspect of the business continuing, right? I think that's what I'm looking at, and I think PL touched on that as well.
Now, when it comes to the marketing aspect of it, which is really where the rubber hits the road, because that's how you try to promote sales of your book. What is the core? What is the single most important piece of advice that you could give someone that is trying to market a product like this? Because let's face it, books are out there in the tens of thousands to be purchased online. I mean, you just go to Audible, just go to Amazon and these places that I mean, there's so many titles. How do you market something or how do they market something for you so that it stands out, hopefully?
Maybe I'll just weigh in first, and I'm sure PL has got something to share here too. For me, Lee, it's all about networking. I think it's about connecting with the right people, connecting with wonderful people like PL who have turned into a friend, but he's an amazing contact and who he knows in the industry. I think the more people you connect with, the more great interviews we do like this, the more podcasters we reach, the more bloggers we reach, the more eyes we get on our books. That's the best way to start, because you're building your foundation. Like PL and I have said many times in the past, we're in this for the long haul, right? We understand we may need to write a few books to really get a larger audience to really take notice of what we are, because of we've really started from the ground up. So I really do believe it's about networking. It's about connecting with the right people, and it's about having a professional product. Once you've got that product, that's half the game. The rest of the game now is making sure that the right people read your book, get your hands on your book. So, have fun with it. Believe in your product, because you're going to have to be able to pitch your product, and just connecting with the right people in the industry is key. And I wouldn't have done that without PL.
Answer the same question for us, PL. What is the marketing key, I guess, to this business?
That was very well said by Sean. I would just add, Lee and Kevin, that especially with self-published authors, getting out early and in front of your book. You can't start marketing when your book is out. You need to start marketing approximately a year out. And as a self-published author, you don't have... Freezer Press is a wonderful company, but they're not there to market your book. They're there to give you marketing advice. So what you do with marketing is all on you, on what your particular plan is, what your strategy is, and you're reaching out to the bookstores, asking them to stock your book. You're reaching out to the big bookstores like Chapters, etc. You're the one, if you're trying to sell your book, going on social media and putting up ads about your book and putting your book trailer out, and so it's all on you. So my thing is start early and often. You have to be somewhat assertive without being aggressive and without turning people off. People get tired of hearing you plug your book constantly. Buy my book, right? Because it's a lot more about that being out there. It's about building a professional image, letting people get to know who you are. Again, as Sean mentioned so aptly, coming on podcasts and interviews and letting people know, essentially you're marketing your brand, not just your book, your brand, and that includes the author themselves. So I think that's key.
Well, it seems to me that if you become well known enough that you can get to the point where you are now marketing the author, you've sort of made it. You know, you become like a Grisham. People will buy anything he writes just because he's John Grisham. His name becomes bigger than the title, and you know, things like that. So I mean, if you get to the point where you can just continue to promote P.L. Stuart, I mean, that's sort of like the mountaintop, isn't it?
Yeah, I would totally agree, Leigh. That's really well said. And I think what people have to understand about the self-publishing industry, because it is for some people it's a bit of an anomaly for some people, and it's something that people aren't really aware of how it works. There are a lot of really successful self-published authors, and there have been a lot of really successful self-published books. And the industry is changing, it's really evolving, and the credibility of self-publishing has really been raised. Yeah. And there's authors out there that are enjoying the creative freedom of being self-published. They don't have people essentially telling them you must write X with your book. They're also enjoying the fact that their royalties are higher with publishing through the self-published milieu, and that their timelines to publish books are so much more expedient that they can pump out 3, 4, 5, 10 books a year. There's some really successful self-published authors that are publishing 20 books a year, especially in the mystery thriller category. Yeah. And they're making substantially higher. The return of investment is much higher than getting a 6-figure advance in terms of getting a book deal. Yeah, and then not seeing anything until you sell, $6,000 worth of books. So.
Right. Now, let me ask you guys both a question before we have to say goodbye today, and you can weigh in whatever order that you like. Every day, just about, we hear more and more and more about how the younger generations are using the written word, are using media, are acquiring information, are learning about things, are acquiring their entertainment. How important is that to understand when you're marketing a book? How many people are buying your books to read online, on Kindles, on Kobos? How many are buying hard copies? How do you know how many actual tactile pieces of your work that you have to produce? I mean, it's a whole different world of consumerism today for the written word.
Go ahead, P.L.
Okay, so Leigh, just to explain, so we get quarterly sales reports or royalty reports through Friesen of what we sell all over the world. So our books are all over the world. They're on Amazon, they're through BookBub, they're through Kindle, in some cases Kindle Unlimited, depending on the package. We have also shopped our books to physical bookstores like Chapters. So it's this, you have all of these sales reports that come in, and they break down specifically what categories your books are being sold in, i.e. ebooks, audiobooks if you have an audiobook. I know Sean and I are both working on audiobooks, physical hardcovers, soft covers. So you get all these sales reports, and you can analyze how, what's doing, and obviously respond to that in terms of, okay, well, hardcovers are selling well, so, and I want to make money off of hardcovers because that's where my margins are. So I need to aggressively market, say, hardcovers more and get more hardcovers into Chapters, for example. So you can work out a strategy accordingly. I know for me personally, I think Sean's the same. We both make a lot of money off of author signed copies because those are very popular for us for whatever reason, maybe based on the people that we know personally who want to buy our books. But for me, I think ebooks are more and more becoming the big seller for me, electronic books.
Okay,
so,
Sean.
Great answer, PL, because it is. I did find it a little bit difficult early on to really analyze all the different statistics with respect to where are the books being sold in the world, whether it's Amazon Canada, Amazon US, Amazon UK, and you do get a breakdown every month of how the books are sold. But the one thing I'll just have to add is, or I'd like to add, is that I'm so lucky that I have a little bit of media background, knowing how to work on the media platforms, whether it's filming video, being able to do my own Facebook videos, or being able to do my own social media, Twitter videos, for example, creating reels on Instagram Reels, understanding how people are interacting on the social media platforms is very important. Knowing, for example, right now that Instagram stories and Instagram reels are getting a lot more recognition than, say, just posting on Instagram. So right off the bat, you want your stuff to be seen by the largest audience that it can be seen by. So it's imperative that you understand how to use Instagram reels and Instagram stories. And on Facebook right now, anything with Facebook Live, like we're doing today, or anything with respect to Facebook stories, the algorithm is delivering it a lot more than, say, just posting frequently online, that's what a lot of people did, right? I wanted to post 3 to 5 times a day so people saw my stuff. So to add to what PL said, it's important to understand, yes, where you are, where your margins are, where you're making your money, where your royalties are. It's also just important to understand how your posts and how your stories and how your videos are delivering on the social media platforms, because that's going to determine the biggest impact on how you get sales.
Okay, one more quick question to each of you.
Oh, Lee, I got one before you let him go, too. So you ask yours and I'll ask mine.
Okay. One piece of advice for somebody watching this right now that wants to get into the writing world, want to write their first book. One piece of advice.
I would say don't give up, because it's a tough industry to crack. If you can't secure an agent, self-publish. If you are determined to go the traditional route, keep querying until you get an agent, and then help with your agent work to get that book deal, and just keep going. Don't stop.
Sean, your turn.
My advice, very, very similar to PL's, is stay true to yourself and never lose track of who you are. As you mentioned, Lee, and as PL mentioned, you're not just selling your book, you're selling yourself. So stay true to yourself. People will respect that. Don't try and be something you aren't. Be true to who you are.
Kevin?
All right, and Lee, I'll just let both of you know that if you are looking to transfer your words into an audio book, I know somebody right here, you're looking at him right now, who's very proficient and does a lot of business in that world, so might be able to connect you guys. And PL, for you, a big what's up to Chatham. I got my broadcasting career underway at CKSY in Chatham, and make sure you give a big shout out to my buddy Chris McLeod, who's running the morning show there, and a lot of the other Jay Poole and Mike Renier and all those guys are guys that we grew up together in the industry. So big what up to all my folks out at radio in Chatham.
Yeah, if you want to check out any of my work, I've got about 30 books up on Amazon right now under the pseudonym Lee Winfield, and my first novel just was released, the audiobook novel, under the Lee Sterry name just this past week. So yeah, if you ever need anything read.
Yeah, congratulations. Well done, Lee.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. Really appreciate the insight and the information. Good luck with your career. I realize the commitment it takes when you're working in the back in the corner in the dark by yourself. And it can get lonely sometimes being your own producer, but keep at it. Thank you.
Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays. Be safe.
Happy holidays. Yeah. Be safe, everyone. Thank you.
Both you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Kev.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good guys.
Those are nice guys to meet.
Yeah.
I love that you can do that now.
Yeah, from anywhere.
I mean, the stories for us growing up, whenever you hear and talk to successful authors, is how often they got rejected, right? Everybody's story is, I shopped this, you insert book title here, that then went on to become a screenplay and an Oscar-winning movie, and I shopped this book everywhere, and I got turned down by everyone. And now, you don't need to do that. You can invest in yourself, and the barriers have all been broken down thanks to technology and things like Friesen Publishing.
Back in those old days, it was like having, authors were like musicians. You had a deal with a publisher, or you had a deal with a record label, and they would give you an advance to write your book. But then you'd make a deal where you got to give them maybe 5 books over the next 3 years. Well, you might not be into doing 5 books over the next 3 years, but they sort of control you contractually, and that was the same model that broke down in the recording industry and the music side of things, and we've seen how that changes. Pretty much all the artists these days are self-published or self-marketed with like Spotify and these various things. There's some role for the labels, but not as many. So my goodness, there's so many changes in the delivery of entertainment these days.
So, Lee, and speaking of, I mean, it's so easy just to make your own music video nowadays. And Joel Van Vliet, a very talented singer, comedian from Queenston, Niagara Falls area, he put together a Christmas video, kind of tongue-in-cheek, Not Coming Home for Christmas, and we'll feature that in a minute or so. Not sure if there's anything you wanted to touch on.
All I wanted to do was again thank our very, very loyal sponsors. Gales Gas, our title sponsor, fueling this program, and I'm looking forward to them doing so again as we roll in toward 2022. It's been a hell of a ride over the last year and a half or so, and we appreciate you taking that ride along with us as our title sponsor. Carlo and the group at Performance Heating and Air, also a sponsor of this program. We thank you for your stick-to-itiveness with this new media realm that we have entered together. Verge Insurance Group as well. Awesome to have another born and bred Niagara company on board here. And we are going to take you out. And to WeeStreem, Kevin, Brandon, we're not going to see you guys before Christmas. To my little buddies here, thank you. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays and ho-ho stuff. As my 3-year-old grandson would say, ho-ho is coming down the chimney any day now. So we're going to take you out with Joel Van Vliet. Now, I have to warn you, this is sort of my favorite kind of humor, which is a little bit dark, a little bit a lot tongue-in-cheek, but it's fun anyway. So we're gonna play ourselves off the stage with Joel Van Vliet, and I do wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, safe and happy holiday, and COVID-free 2022. Cheers.
Yep, I seriously won't be home for Christmas. I'm basically in a foreign country at this point. Oh, that's a train whistle to take me to Toyland or something. Don't come over. Don't go over to my house. I'm not there. Probably definitely after Boxing Day. Let's just say I'll see you next year. What? No, it has nothing to do with you. I just needed to get away. Look, I gotta run. Bye.
I'm not coming home this year for Christmas. I don't even have any decking of halls to do. It's a wonderful life, but I want to carve myself with a knife when I sit by the tree listening to you. You say you're seriously not coming home for Christmas. It might be naughty and not nice to say. Yup, it might make your Christmas blue, but all I want for Christmas is you to shut up. I'd rather be home alone for Christmas, especially when you get into the nog. If angels could hear you on high, they'd be dreaming that they could die. Everyone knows you're so full of you log. Pa-rum-pa-pum, Christmas. You're tone deaf like the drummer boy with your crude joke. Something about Santa's North Pole. If you don't shut your mouth hole, I'll stuff a stocking down your throat. Oh, I won't be coming down the chimney, 'cause there's no place like home for the holidays to make me wanna shove candy canes in my ears. Oh, my day will be merry and bright if I don't have to hear your your latest insight. Like midnight mass, you bore everyone to tears. A star won't guide this wise man home for Christmas. I'd love to choke you with tinsel or push your head in a snowdrift. Well, maybe Santa's bag has an ornament ball gag. You shutting your face would be the perfect Christmas gift. Oh, what can I say to avoid coming home this Christmas? I can't find my way 'cause Rudolph's nose isn't inside. I'm stuck under the mistletoe, or I'm sat in a bank of snow. It's beginning to look a lot like a silent night.
From